We're going to talk a little bit about, as Will said, Secure 2.0 resources today. I think if you're like me, you've been receiving probably countless emails every week with Secure 2.0 in the subject line, followed by some other level of detail. And if you're also like me, you might become a little bit numb to the messaging because of the sheer volume of those communications. So what I've tried to do and really been prescriptive about over the last, it really got to the point about 6 months ago where I just had to sort of decide how in detail I wanted to get with every single provision and everything else. I decided I was going to take a deeper dive into the ones that would most impact or be pertinent to my audience, which is most times third-party administrators, and the purpose of our role, which is business development with our third-party administrators and financial advisors. So understanding that I couldn't be an expert in all those areas. For example, I decided that our TPAs really want to know where we stand. They understand the details and the nuance of the provisions in 2.0, but they want to know where or when Transamerica and other record keepers will be ready to accommodate the provisions from a record keeping perspective. And that makes complete sense. That's something that, because the TPAs have so much knowledge around the provisions, they want to know when they can interact with us seamlessly on those provisions. I think a number of financial advisors also have interest in the progress and when we'll be ready to go with all these different things, but are just as concerned about which provisions are going to impact their specific clients and just how impacted they may be. So I think, as advisors, you obviously want to add value to your current clients, and simultaneously you're finding ways to be innovative and attract new clients. And I believe taking a more focused approach to particular provisions in Secure that best dovetail with your practice and your business model are going to help you to stand out in a crowded field. For example, if you work with small business owners who don't have retirement plans now, you're going to be probably more focused on the credits available for setting up a new plan, and you're able to have some detail around that and be able to speak to it with those clients and add value in those conversations as to, hey, this could be a great time to get this going for whatever reason. It could be a state mandate, it could be anything, but you may really want to focus on those sorts of things. If you only work with certain types of plans, you may not need to know everything there is to know about every other type. So if you work with simples and SEPs and 401ks, things that may more impact ESOPs, 457s, 403bs, and DB plans may not be the rabbit hole you need to go completely down. So with the concept of this in mind, I want to share just a couple of resources, as I mentioned, that we have available to both our financial advisor and TPA partners, just to really help keep you up to speed on the ever-evolving landscape of 2.0. So if you will give me 1 second, I'm going to share my screen and show you this as the first resource we have. And first thing I'll tell you guys is I'm sure a lot of my competitors also have information like this. So I don't think this is unique necessarily to Transamerica. The way it's set up may be a little bit unique to us. But just knowing that there are a lot of resources out there is probably the best thing to be aware of. So as I sort of walk through this, you can see how it's set up. And as you scroll down, it sort of navigates across right from what it is. And you can go a deeper dive on each one of these. So if you want a summary of that, I think some of the most pressing issues we've seen are around the mandatory provisions, right? Because they're just that, they're mandatory. So we want to be able to give people resources about this. And I'll just click on a couple of these so you can see where it takes you in. These are important because they're going to impact your plan clients for sure, to understand around Roth and surviving spouse selection, all these sorts of things. So we don't have to get into the details of it, but I just wanted to show you what that is. Discretionary provisions. I think this is another great conversation for advisors to be having with clients, specifically in the wheelhouse that you want to exist, and again, what dovetails with your practice. But this is really nice from a value add perspective, right? Being able to say, hey, not sure if you've thought about this, but there are a number of different provisions that we could consider. You don't have to, but it may be something that would ring with your client, and it shows that you've studied it up. You have the value, emergency withdrawals from medical expenses, disaster, domestic abuse victims, things of this nature. I think are valuable for you to be able to speak to. Certain provisions, I think, are just front of mind for obvious reasons. They're going to impact a lot of people, and they're, whether they're mandatory or discretionary. We've kind of selected about 7 of them here that you can take a deeper dive into, and you'll have more of these. This will sort of be ever fluid and evolving as we go through the process. And you can see, again, deeper dives, provisions for certain things here from a prospecting perspective, provisions for new plans. This is actually an interesting little tool within this part of it, where you can click on and actually print off a worksheet to sort of walk through with your prospect or your existing clients to check and sort of look into whether or not it makes sense for them to consider starting a plan. So just a really nice resource for you to have. Again, we're updating it all the time. So it gives you the most up-to-date information that you could use. All right, I'll stop sharing and jump back on here. The other thing I was going to talk to you about is our webinar series, and our head of compliance and regulatory is Adrienne Robertson, and she hosts what really amounts to about a monthly webinar, which takes a deeper dive into the most relevant provision at the time, right? As things are getting fleshed out in Congress and little tweaks are being made, or maybe something's about to go into effect. We want to be able to provide an avenue to take a deeper dive with our audiences. So what we do is we send a blast email when there's a webinar that's about maybe a week or 10 days out. And we send it to every advisor and TPA in our CRM. And we invite everybody to join. And it's about an hour long, depending on the content. We average probably about 500 attendees to each of those webinars. And you're able to ask questions through the chat feature. And Adrienne is incredibly brilliant with all this information and able to really break it down in a way that makes more sense for folks as they're really working with their clients to try to explain all the details of Secure. So I want to be respectful of time here. I'm probably butting up on about 10 minutes. So with that, I just, again, want to thank you guys so much for the time. Again, Definiti, thank you, partners, for all this. And hopefully we'll see you guys on a webinar. I'm going to make sure that Definiti has the link to that. And I can tell you what it is right now. It's just www.transamerica.com/navigating-secure-2. And I'll send that over, and hopefully they can distribute it to everybody who's on the call today.